Hey there, and welcome to exercise number 37. This is the first one in which we're going to be using a REST API, so I hope you're excited. Now, the function we need to write is called fetchGitHubName and receives one parameter, a string representing a GitHub username. The function should return a promise that resolves to the full name of the GitHub user with this username. And if the user doesn't exist, the promise should resolve to null. And by the way, here's some more instructions. So here's the link to the GitHub API, and it's our job to find the correct endpoint to call, how to call it, and so on. Below we have an example. So the GitHub user with this username, Adi Osmani, has the full name, this one. Now, if you want to solve this exercise for yourself, click on the link in the description. If not, keep watching. The first thing I want to do is find out which API we need to call. So I'm going to click on this link, and let's go to the GitHub docs. And I'm going to look here and I say, okay, users, get authenticated user. No, this is not what we want. Update the authenticated user. No. List all users. No. Oh, get a user. Okay, let's see if this one works. And let's look at the example first. So we see here, okay, API github.com/user/username. So here we can put the username. And we get a response like this. So we get an ID, node ID, avatar, URL, so on, so on. Let's see if we have the name here. Oh, this is the name. So this is the API we need to call, but instead of username, put the username from our function and get the name from this field. Now, because we figured this out, let's go here into the code. So we're just going to use basic native JavaScript functionality, right? We're going to use the fetch API. So let's do const resp from response is await fetch. And let me take the URL from here. So it's this one, but instead of username here, I'm going to put the username I get in the parallel. Now we get a response, so we need to see if is this response okay or false, because it maybe fails, maybe the user doesn't exist, so we get a 404 and so on. So I'm gonna say if resp.okay, right? So this means we got a response back, but it's not a status code of okay. So this maybe happens because 404 user not found, other situations. Maybe we get like the API can only be called a couple of times an hour so that we don't abuse it. So maybe we're past that limit, so we get an error here and so on. And here I want to say not. So if we're not doing this, then I want to return no. Otherwise, I'm going to get, okay, let me get the user. So I'm going to take the response and I'm going to convert it to JSON and I'm going to return user.name. Now, let's see if this works. So I'm going to say fetch GitHub name of Adi Osmani dot then I'm gonna say name and let's do a console log name and okay, it worked. It took a little bit of time, but it worked. Now this looks good overall, but we didn't handle the situation in which this call fails. So we handled the situation in which the response is not okay, like we get back a 404 status code or other situations. But what if this fails? For example, we don't have internet, the GitHub servers are down, and so on. So let's put this into a try catch. And after we do this, let's put here, I want to console log this. So I'm going to say console error failed to fetch GitHub API, and let's also print the error. And then I want to return null. So I still want to return null if we get no answer from the server, like the server is down, the request fails, I want to return null. Now let's try with my username. Let's try this. I am Pavel. And we get this one. This is my name. That's good. Now let's test our solution. And voila, it works. So this is the first exercise that uses a REST API that we've solved, and as you can see, it's correct. It wasn't that hard, I would say. So cheers and see you in the next one.